Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new day of Road to TCG Worlds 2017. Now today, as we continue to work our way through the top decks, going into the North American International Tournament, we are taking a look at one of the most hyped, if not the most hyped deck going into a tournament, which is Drampa Zoroark. Now the hype is definitely justified. Daniel Tavila put this deck really high on the map, I'm not sure how to say it, but this deck is regarded as the best deck in the format. It's regarded as the deck to beat, and for good reason. Zoroark is an amazing card, Zoroark Break is even more amazing, and then Drampa is just so solid, such a solid attacker that can just go off on turn 2 and start knocking things out super easily. So, Zoroark, Mind Jack dealing 10 plus 30 more damage to each of your for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. That means that you punish players for having or using big setup decks. Stand-in also prevents weird things like paralysis or confusion from really messing up your plan, and reduces the need for things like Floatstone, because you get to promote Zoroark into the active spot. 100 HP, nothing too impressive, but you know Zoroark is fragile, and with a single DC it can just dish out a lot of damage, and this damage can be increased through the use of Choice Band and Professor Sycamore. Then we have Zoroark Break, which is an incredible card. Foul Play allows you to copy one of your opponent's Pokemon's attacks, and that way you can copy your opponent's Berserks, you can copy your opponent's Volcanions attack, you can copy anything you want, and for a single Darkness Energy, that's pretty good. You do have to do all other things required for the attack, but you don't have to pay for the attack's cost. So copying something like Tapu Lele's Nature's Judgment, you get to deal 180 damage or potentially even 210 with a single Darkness Energy. So it's a pretty good trade-off. Zoroark also gets the increased HP to 140, so that extra bump is really nice. And we get the Drampa-GX pairing. Drampa-GX is simply a very solid attacker, Berserk, dealing more damage if you have a damaged Pokemon on your bench. And when combined with Team Magma Secret Base, it really works out nicely. Righteous Edge, dealing 20 damage and discarding a special energy. Drampa is just overall so good. It offers disruption, it offers even setup with Big Will GX, and you don't really have any other GX attack to use in this deck. And you get Berserk to deal massive amounts of damage, up to 180 or even 200 with Professor Sycamore. And then you have your support options of Tapu Lele, Shaymin, and even Oranguru to make sure that you're not prone to late game end or losing to late game ends. And you have the Oricorio in order to beat Vespiquen and potentially snipe something on the bench that you weren't able to knock out. That's the deck. Then you have the supporter lineup for Sycamore, 3 and 2 Lysander, pretty standard. We have one Bridget and one Pokemon Fan Club, which is something I really like, especially because one of those could potentially be priced in any given game. So having one of each makes for the best situation where you can choose which one to go for if you need the damage off of the Team Magma Secret Base, if you want to avoid the damage from that very same stadium, or simply two cards means there's less odds of you prizing one of them or not having access to one of them when you want to set up your bench. So pretty good overall. Then you have teammates to search for the specific cards you need, such as Choice Band or DCEs, or even Zoroark Break, for example, in order to accomplish something. And yeah, I believe this is Daniel's almost exact list. I think the Field Blower is actually an extra card, so I'm gonna take out the Field Blower. I'm gonna put the 7th energy. This deck doesn't really need Field Blower for no reason. It doesn't rely on abilities. It can function pretty well on its own. So let's start it and let's jump into ladder to see how we do. Now, yesterday with Mega Ray we did pretty well. For those of you who haven't watched the video, I really recommend you guys do, because Mega Ray, it probably definitely loses to Zoroark, which is the #1 hype deck in the format, but there's still room to, like, it still has some pretty good matchups, so there is an argument to play that. I personally wouldn't play that in an international, I don't think, and wow, this hand is actually pretty atrocious. Okay, so we're up against Metagross. Metagross is usually regarded as a bad matchup for this deck, simply because they have so much HP and they don't need that big a bench to set up. We do see that my opponent is running the Alola Ninetales GX, which is a very interesting inclusion. That means he's probably running 2 of the Vulpix, but going first and getting at least 3 extra cards of the mulligans should help us in alleviating our not so great hand. My opponent finally finds a basic Pokemon, so we're gonna get 3 extra cards here. And wow, it's actually what? We actually get another energy and Zoroark Break and an N, sure, but discarding these many cards, like there's nothing really here I want to discard, honestly. I will discard things, but not a fan. So I'm gonna grab Lele for Bridget most likely, but let's try to check out our prices. So there's no Zoroarks or Breaks priced, Shaymin is available, Oricorio is as well. The one Pokemon we have priced is Oranguru. And then we have, is it 3 Seekers or 4? But yeah, there's 1 Oranguru, 1 Sycamore, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 Darkness. Probably is 1 Verse Seeker. And I actually don't know what else I priced. I actually do not know what else, but it's fine. With Lele, there is certainly an argument to just search for 2 Pokemon off of the Bridget, like a single Zorua rather, and a single Drampa. That way, I still have 2 open spots to play down with. To play down an item, to play down my stadium and then bench them with damage. Finding a third Zorua could be possible, but I really just want to have that extra space available, at least for now. So we see a Metal Energy. My opponent could also attack the Zorua with Core Beam, but I really think my opponent's just gonna Lele for Bridget, and then off of Bridget he will find 2 Beldums and a Vulpix. No, he actually goes for N, so Bridget might be priced. Or he might not have anything else in his hand. I would have expected a Bridget for 2 more Beldums and a Vulpix, and then retreating into a Vulpix to use Beacon. But we have the N to counteract that a little bit. So we did lose 1 Zoroark, there's still 3 more in the deck I think, so we should be fine. We don't find too many good cards off of the N. We can go for Shaymin, we can not go for Shaymin. We can go for Lele as well. We can go for Zoroark. Wow, but my opponent actually decides to attack me. And with so many benched Pokemon, I really would like to find a DCE to just take a price here. I'm gonna attach Choice Band to Drampa. I'm gonna attach the Floatstone to the Zorua. I'm actually going to, I'm not a fan of discarding all these basic energy, but I feel like I have to. Just gonna guarantee the Zoroark, and now hopefully up at the end we can find a DCE in order to knock out this first Beldum. That would be really good. And we don't. Okay. So that kind of puts a dent in our plans. Might want to discard the other Floatstone perhaps for another Zorua or another Zoroark. Yeah, and then I might just go for the GX attack. It's really unlikely that that I get, well, I mean there is a chance. I could also just go for Shaymin to try and find a DCE, but I already discarded the Floatstone, so if that was the plan, I should have played the Rescue Stretcher. And since I actually have a Zoroark in my discard pile, I'm just gonna find a Zorua. The Darkness Energy I will attach to this brand new Zoroark. I will also play and get back the Zoroark. Oricorio will definitely not play a role in this match. And because we cannot deal damage this turn, it seems unlikely that my opponent goes double Rare Candy, double Metagross, attach, and finds a way to discard another energy off of 6 cards. So this big wheel seems pretty safe to me. And now we have the Zoroark with the Float Stone to make sure that we can retreat and potentially use any Pokemon we want. We have VS Seeker Lysander to knock out the Lele to get ahead in the price count. With Drampa, we can use the Zoroark Breaks in order to copy Metagross GX's attack, and between them switching the after effect is really no big deal. And yeah, my opponent Ultra Rolls for a simple Metang, so we really should be good. There's also an argument to go after the Metangs instead of the Tapu Lele. So I really don't know which is correct. Probably pressuring the Metang is more correct. I could take a knockout with a Zoroark as well. We see an end, so we're actually gonna lose the VS Seekers and the DCEs. Okay, we find a DCE, we find a Fan Club. We are going to lose the Choice Band and the Float Stone. But we can either Lysander or end through Tapu Lele. And we do have the damaged Pokemon still. We have the DCE. So the question is, do I go after the Metang or... I also don't want to risk my damaged Pokemon. Okay, but this top deck makes things easier for us. So this is what I'm gonna do. I feel like using Lysander could be correct. I get damage on Lele, which is pretty good. And off of Lele, I think I'm gonna grab the end. See, the thing is, if I go for Lysander, I can Lysander, knock out Lele, I can Lysander, knock out Metang. I think going after the Metang is the right play here. I really think so. Off our price cards, we might get something useful. And then we have the Fan Club to find Shaymin eventually. We have energy, we have Choice Band, so I feel like this is the right play here. Because once again, my opponent finding double Candy, double Metagross this upcoming turn. That's the only way we get punished for doing this, and even then we lose a 1 price attacker and we can swing back for 180 damage or 150, so I feel like that was the right play. And off of our prices we get the 1 Sycamore, so worst case scenario we can just Sycamore and keep finding other useful things. So yeah, pretty good. The issue is retreating. The issue is definitely retreating. However, we do get a knockout on the active Beldum. My opponent doesn't evolve it. If he does, then we can make it a 2-hit KO with Drampa and Zoroark. And then it gets awkward with the max potions for my opponent, I guess. Well, not really. Unless he finds... If he only finds 1 Metagross, it definitely gets very awkward. If he finds both, then he's fine. But yeah, we even see a Vulpix, so my opponent's just gonna try and set up here. We have no way to either get rid of the Pokemon he's going to search for, nor a Lysander to actually pressure a Beldum. So this turn is not great for us. What he beacons for will indicate us what's the last card in his hand. It's definitely not a supporter. He did not play a supporter card this turn. And it might be a rare candy. So if he goes for Metagross and Lele, that means it's rare candy. Wow, he goes for Metagross and Beldum. What? So it's definitely rare candy. But then he has no more Lele's left. I top deck a VS Seeker, which is very fortunate. The VS Seeker I will use for Lysander to pressure the Choice Banded Beldum. I get rid of the Beldum, like between both Beldums it really doesn't make a big difference. But I really rather knock out, remove 1 Choice Band, because that makes it so that he needs to find another one to knock out my my Drampa, which I'm pretty happy to force him into. We get Oranguru for prize cards. Not a fan of that, simply because I really would like to have Oranguru down for the later stages in the game, because we might be in the lead, but the game is not exactly won just yet. My opponent does break any Metagross. We saw the Beldum, and he's probably going to use a GX attack now. Yep, there is a GX attack. So once again, we cannot punish that play. We can only deal 100 damage to the Metagross. He probably finds another he probably goes for Rare Candy, Metagross, Max Potion, Energy. Yeah, so things could get tricky. Definitely things could get tricky. Maybe via Seeker for N would have been better to mess with the Beacon, because we knew he had a guaranteed Metagross. I don't know, not entirely sure. But yeah, this is definitely regarded as a difficult matchup for Zoroark, and we get a Rescue Stretcher, so we cannot punish this play. We actually don't have any other attacker either to power up. I mean, I guess it's Zorua, but these are not looking good here. I'm gonna play a Fan Club just to thin out our deck. Do I want to play a Fan Club? Probably. I don't want to keep using Drampas. That's for sure. So thinning out the Drampa makes sense to me. Thinning out the Drampa makes sense to me. And after we lose the Zoroark, we can play down the Oranguru, which I'm pretty happy. And we can use the Rescue Stretcher to put back the Zoroark line. So we're just gonna deal 100 damage, but I fully expect my opponent to do Rare Candy, Metagross, Max Potion, Energy this upcoming turn, and then double Geotech system. There's a Rare Candy, there's a Metagross. Everyone has enough energy in the discard pile as well. We see a Rescue Stretcher for another Beldum. He might put them back into the deck. Yeah, he chooses to put them back. So we might actually see an N to go with this. He definitely searched for the Rescue Stretcher, Rare Candy, and Metagross. So that's 3 of the 5 cards he went for. The other 2 have to be Max Potion and Energy, or at least Max Potion. There's a Max Potion. And then this, we see the Energy. So did he go for, are the 2 cards left in his hand Lysander and Energy? I mean Lysander and Choice Band? No, it's just N. Okay. And we can deal with. Our deck is still filled with resources. We haven't used a single Sycamore just yet. And we do get N, we do get Ultra Ball. The opponent does find another Beldum. However, this is gonna be really hard. A lot is going to depend on how easily can my opponent find more Max Potions. And who do we pressure with? My opponent doesn't have a Choice Band in play, but there's only 1 in the discard pile so far. So odds are he will be able to find the Choice Band. Well, the thing is, if he doesn't, that's really bad for him. And if we don't put up the Drampa, then we don't force him to try to find it. And in that process of forcing, we could potentially force something odd or weird, like a Sycamoring away Max Potions or something. Well, no, he wants to search for. I'm talking nonsense. I'm sorry, guys. Maybe he whiffs on the Max Potion. That's what I'm trying to say. Maybe he whiffs on the Max Potion. Okay, so our hand is not great after the N. But we can Berserk for 150. Really, 150 or 180 doesn't make a big difference here. We just want to make sure that, or we just have to hope that my opponent eventually runs out of Max Potions. He has 2 left. And or, yeah, maybe in digging through for the Choice Band, he loses a Max Potion. That's what we're thinking of here, I think. I don't know, not entirely sure. Lele is also an okay attacker. We do see an Energy on the bench. Metagross. The fact that we don't have access to Lysander means we cannot punish the bench Metagross either, which is not great. Maybe saving the Drampa for the Lele was a better idea. Because otherwise, yeah, knocking out 2 Metagross seems pretty difficult. We do see the Skyla, so Skyla for Choice Band. Skyla for Choice Band. No, Skyla for Max Potion, okay. So he must have the Choice Band already. I don't think, like, well, maybe you do. Maybe saving the Metagross is more important than... No, because by doing this, by not getting rid of the Drampa, you're essentially making the Max Potion useless, I would say. He must have the Choice Band already. That's the reason you run 4 Choice Band in that deck. No, he doesn't, wow. I definitely would have gone Skyla Choice Band. I think I definitely would have gone Skyla Choice Band. Okay, we top deck the VS Seeker, which would have actually given us the KO on the bench to Metagross. Now my opponent does have enough energy to power himself up. So the VS Seeker, do we save the VS Seeker for a potential Lysander? I think that's correct. I actually think that is correct. Now my opponent could get a knockout with Lele, actually. So I'm not sure what to do here. I'm really not sure what to do, because getting a knockout with Lele would be a problem for us. Yeah, I'm not happy with this. I'm definitely not happy with this. Yeah, our issue are the energy, actually. It's just awkward to attach a DC and a Darkness to a Zoroark. So our energy are getting a little awkwardly spread here. And because I have the Special Charge and because I top deck the Seeker, I didn't want to Sycamore. So I reckon my opponent knocks me out with Lele. That exposes a Lele as well. So that's 2 GXs and that's 2 GXs that will be damaged and only 1 can be healed, fully healed. Provided my opponent is only playing 3 Max Potion. He could be playing 4. He definitely could be playing 4. There's the retreat. Wow, into Vulpix. Okay, this is huge. This is actually a huge turn for us because my opponent, not only will he miss a knockout on the Drampa, but he will also not heal probably because he had to Skyla for the Max Potion the previous turn. So now keeping this VS Seeker seems pretty smart. My opponent actually bridges for Lele? That makes no sense. It makes no sense that my opponent didn't go for the Lele the previous turn. And wow, and he's even surprised. This is pretty bad. Okay, this is really bad for my opponent. Definitely not the highest quality opponent. That means if we win this game, it'll be purely because of that. Or not purely, but most likely because of that. And now he won't even have, like, he didn't use an ability to force or to have the energy ready to retreat. And he won't even have access to another Metagross this upcoming turn. So yeah, we're pretty good here now. We are pretty good. We are very prone to N, however. But yeah, that Bridget for Lele was just pathetic. With all respect to my opponent, that Bridget for Lele was just really, really bad. Really bad. We see Beldum getting benched. My opponent promotes Metagross, which is the only Pokemon. Oh wow, he actually did have the rare candy. Awesome. Okay, that's a small problem. He must have top decked that. No, he searched for he probably had that, but he didn't have the Metagross. So that's what he searched for. So he can take a knockout here, yes. We even see a teammates, but we have a teammates of our own. Can we transform that into a knockout next turn? No. We actually cannot. We can, however, make one for the next turn. Like teammates actually becomes a knockout next turn if we get to keep the cards we search for. Very big if. We search for VS Seeker and Choice Band. Okay. So I'm gonna promote this Lele. Okay, I got a Zoroark top deck, which is great. Okay, so this is what we do. I teammates for VS Seeker and Choice Band. If we keep those two cards, we win next turn, right? Thing is, I cannot. Well, yeah, I can attack with Lele. Never mind. So, yeah, I think I definitely need to prepare the Zoroark. So we deal 100 here, and then even if he does heal the Metagross, I can VS Seeker, Lysander, knock out a Lele. You'd expect he grabbed Max Potion as well. He needs N though. He definitely needs N. That's the last VS Seeker we have. So yeah, we're only playing 3. Yeah. So last VS Seeker we have. This is a very intense match, but I feel like it's only intense because of my opponent's misplays. Maybe they were not misplaced. Maybe he's just really drawing that bad. VS Seeker for N. Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, we actually, if we don't get, okay, we got Seeker and we got Oranguru. So, does Ninetales change anything? No. Okay, yeah, this is pretty bad. This is pretty bad. Oh no, never mind. VS Seeker, Lysander, knockout Metagross with 160. I was thinking, oh, I need the Choice Band, but no, I don't need a Choice Band because he didn't heal the Metagross. So I just deal 160. Oh, and I even top decked the the Choice Band. So it's like we handpicked the cards off of the end. And we got pretty lucky here. We got pretty lucky for sure. Well, our deck was actually pretty thin. However, finding the last VS Seeker... Oh no, we run 4, okay. But, I mean, odds were not in our favor for that to happen, definitely. So my opponent almost made the comeback. Those turns where he didn't attack and the turns where he whiffed the knockout on Zoroark, those, I mean on Drampa, those were pretty big. But yeah, that's gonna be it from me, guys. Just one match, but a pretty intense one. The matchup, I think, definitely favors Metagross, but it's not 100% guaranteed. As you just saw, there are a lot of cards they can potentially whiff, and it does take them a while to set up. So as long as you keep up the pressure, you definitely can eventually win a game. So yeah, Hex Maniac being available would have made things easier, but it was priced just like the last VS Seeker, but we got lucky off of the 2-card N. So yeah, that will be all from me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. Please leave a like on the video if you can. Really helps out the channel. And I will see you guys tomorrow for more top decks action. And yeah, that will be all. Thank you guys, and bye-bye.